Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a fun collab with my good friend DarthMicro, talking about how Raid and Diablo Immortal maybe compare to each other, and is Raid going to be the end of Diablo Immortal? Is Diablo Immortal going to be stealing a bunch of players from that? Is it going to be a decline in Raid? We're going to touch on these different topics and give you our perspectives because both of us have been in the Diablo community and played all of those games for thousands of hours, and we've obviously been in the Raid community since launch, so we'll give you our perspective on what we expect to happen with one of the biggest launches in gaming history in Diablo Immortal coming up here in a couple weeks. So let's get into it. Alrighty, and now joined by my good friend DarthMicro. I'm sure the people know you, but how you doing?
Doing pretty good today, Brad. How's your day?
Oh, you know how it is this last few weeks. It's crazy. We're both tired. We're burning the candle at both ends. I know for me, I'm still doing like 75-80% of my normal raid stuff, and then trying to also dive into trying out Diablo Immortal and experiencing the hype of that release, which I know you're doing as well. So give us the general update on where the people that haven't seen you for a while on my channel, the general DarthMicro update, and what you're kind of.
Oh, I mean, I'm just kind of doing the same thing you are, man. Like we have 2 weeks until we have the new launch of Diablo Immortal, and obviously, as mobile gamers, we're gonna try that new mobile game. So we're kind of preparing for that. And other than that, man, that's really kind of it. I've got some personal stuff I've been doing. It was my mom's birthday, and hung out with her, and just kind of seeing some friends and stuff, and trying to take a little bit of time to like actually exercise and have a little bit of non-mobile gaming life in my life, if that makes sense. But other than that, no, just kind of the same old, just preparing for the next game.
Yeah, you better get that stuff in now, because I know how you are when a new game launches. So you better get
Yeah,
that stuff in order.
yeah, I tend to kind of dip my toe in pretty hard with the cannonballs. So I'm expecting when this launch comes from June 2nd, at least for the first week here, I'm not going to be doing anything except just pretty much nonstop grinding Diablo Immortal, I would assume.
Very nice, very nice. I'm sure I'll be right there with you. But I thought it'd be fun to bring somebody on instead of me just rambling. Because I get a question a lot on stream and Discord servers and comment sections. Hey, is this game gonna kill Raid? Is it gonna affect
Yeah.
it? I've never played a Diablo game. What's it like? If I like Raid, will I like Diablo Immortal? Because they're both mobile games. I thought it'd be fun to dive in for like 10 or 15 minutes and talk about these different topics. So I guess the first one we'll talk about is do you think that Diablo Immortal is going to have a huge impact on Raid, like steal players from it or
No.
anything?
No, I mean, steel players, maybe some of them. I don't think it's going to have an impact on the game, though. Like, one is they're totally different genres. I mean, Gacha and ARPG are not alike in almost any way, first and foremost. So even though I do believe there's going to be people who are like hardcore mobile gamers that might be more excited about a new mobile game, I don't really think that the core audience of Raid is going to be affected too much, because gacha games are kind of one of those niche things where it's like, if you like gachas, you like them for particular reasons, and there's not really anything else. There's not other like types of games that really feel the gacha niche, from what I've seen anyway. They're very particular. So no, I don't think it's going to kill Raid or anything crazy like that. I do think there's going to be a lot more players than people think, and I think there's a pretty heavy like anti-Diablo Immortal circle jerk kind of going on that people are doing because of all the pay to win conversation and everything. But the game, basically, from everyone I've talked to that's played the beta, I'm not just talking Echo Hack, the conversations we've had with him, but I'm talking like people that come in the Discord that said they played the beta, or just reading the Discord conversations. We got some pretty decent sized Diablo Immortal communities by this point from all the plugging we've done with the Discords. And there's plenty of people that played the beta that say, like, yeah, the game is really good and clean on beta. And normally from betas, I hear complaints. But from all the people that have actually played the beta, other than the pay to win conversation, it's been unanimous that the game is like really good. And that's somewhat rare. So I'm taking that into the equation. Granted, I'm always get hyped for new games, so remove a little bit from the equation for that too. But no, I actually believe this one's going to be like pretty fun. At a minimum, it's going to be really fun. Like balance and all that we can discuss, and we could talk pay to win. We could talk all the different things that people want to talk about with the game. But I think the game's going to be fun. But I don't think it's going to kill Raid. Different
Yeah,
market.
very, very clearly this is going to be different than like Marvel Strike Force, where like this is going to be on a whole different level than that. But I tend to agree with you. I think maybe people that haven't ever played a Diablo game or haven't really gone crazy on an RPG, it's vastly different than Raid. They are completely different games. You know, it's more hands-on. It's more you have to actually, like if you were doing a dragon run and you had to actually control your character and fight the waves and then fight the dragon, like you're not just on auto watching it happen.
Yeah, there's zero autoplay anywhere in the game. There's absolutely zero of it. Every second you're actively participating.
Yep. So it you are gonna actually have to grind. You can't just like auto click overnight. Well, you can, but it's called botting and it's cheating and it's bannable and you know Blizzard's constantly gonna be trying to mitigate that and find ways to ban that. But yeah,
I don't even think it's gonna be botted, to be honest. Like I know there's some conversation that you were saying, yeah, it'll probably be botted 'cause it's Diablo game and all that, but it's like, one, it's a mobile game. Two, there's no trading of any sort. So the people that are botting have to do it for personal gain or for account selling. Account selling on Battle.net's not gonna work. So I just don't really understand like why the fuck would anyone bought the game? There's no reason to in this. Like in Lost Ark, it makes sense. You grind and sell the stuff, and you make real life profit. In this
yeah.
game, there's no reason unless you're trying to like grind your way to the top of the leaderboards, which isn't really the way it's set up. So, for me, I don't really see botting.
Yeah, and let me pull up a chart here. You won't be able to see this until you catch the video, but what I'm looking at is a Google Trends chart of YouTube searching content for the last year, and this breaks down the blue line is Raid Shadow Legends, and the red line is Diablo Immortal. And let me actually send Darth a screenshot of this 1 second. Okay, so now we're back, and I did give Darth that a shot of what I'm looking at here. So what we're seeing is, you know, a little bit of a blip for Diablo Immortal, kind of during the beta when it was supposed to be released, and then it got delayed, and it kind of died down again. And then what we're seeing, the next blip is kind of when they announced the PC client, and they actually set an official release date. That's that next big blip where it almost got as popular as Raid, and it's not even out yet. Like, you can't even play it yet. So we're probably going to see a pretty big spike here in about probably a week. It'll start going up. And then in 2 weeks, it's going to spike hard when the game launches in about 2 weeks. And at that point, we can all speculate as to how much bigger it will get than Raid, but it will surpass Raid on launch. But what we don't know is if it'll be able to hold on to that, because Raid's been pretty steady, to their credit, for the last year. They haven't really declined or anything. They've been kind of maintaining, which is tough for a game that's 3 years old. So on launch, Immortal will pass Raid, but we'll have do you think it'll maintain it or not?
I mean, I think it depends upon how long it takes to hit to the infinite grind part. Like most of these MMORPGs, I would say, like if I had to guess, like 30-40% of the users are like fairly casual. Then you have like 10 to 30% somewhere in there, like people that just play and then just quit. And then the rest is like the hardcore users, is how I'd probably break it down. And I think the key demographic for this one is going to be the casual people. In order for the game to sustain, I mean, in particular, the data chart we're looking at is a little misleading because this is just YouTube searches, right? So we have established YouTube channels already and stuff, so people are looking for them. If we're talking Diablo Immortal, as far as the game and players actually go, I don't know if it's going to affect this YouTube search in the same way. Because like what I'm thinking is the casual players are going to be a big chunk of this game. And this game is not as much to the point where you have to sit there and look up a ton of stuff. I mean, maybe you could look up builds, but you have one hero, and then you have only the items that you can acquire. I'm thinking it's free to play. Average person who plays like maybe an hour a day, never spends $1. Like I'm trying to think how often they're actually going to be looking stuff up, and I would assume almost never. If we look at like the actual player count, I would assume that we're going to spike over Raid Shadow Legends active player count fairly quickly. I think it was an article that came out, what was it, yesterday, that said there's like 2 million active users a month, which
That sounds about right, yeah.
Which is actually fairly small in comparison to like a lot of larger MMOs. And that's what this game is. It's an MMO.
I think even Overwatch was at like 25 million or something like per month, and you have games like Hearthstone that are like 10 times as far as player base.
Right. So this goes to my point in the beginning, which it's like we can't really compare. Like it's if I'm sitting here trying to like compare Raid and Diablo, like I'm doing a disservice to the people that are listening. Like I don't really think there's a way that I can look at the data and meaningfully assess it and predict like which is going to be more popular. Because Raid's like the most popular gacha, right? I mean, maybe Genshin Impact probably is bigger, to be fair. But in terms of gachas, like turn-based gachas, anyway. Raid's pretty much the pinnacle peak. And Diablo Immortal isn't even out yet, and it's a completely different game.
Genshin Impact's way, way bigger than Raid in terms of popularity.
Right. And so the only thing I was thinking about that is it's not really like Raid's one of these like turn-based RPGs, whatever they want to call them, strategy games, whatever you want to call them. And Genshin Impact's a little bit more of an action. I mean, like Genshin's closer to Diablo, than Raid is close to Diablo, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And I could see the argument for maybe a little bit of Genshin players going to Diablo, just because, again, I feel like they're totally different type of players. There's like passive players who have like stuff running on auto, and then there's people who want to sit down on a PC for like 6 hours, and they're different demographics. So I could see people like the Genshin Impact PC players maybe going to Diablo a little bit, and maybe eating a little bit. Oh, my TV doesn't like my point. Eating away at that market a little bit, but I don't really see Raid dying. I don't see Raid getting affected by Diablo Immortal, and I don't really see the comparison between them two either.
Yep, I kind of agree with you. I know people are like, oh, it's the death of Raid. I don't think that's true. For a lot of the reasons you said, they're just so different. And I think you'll find that the people that enjoy like the account management, shard pulling, auto farming, macro management, they might try Diablo Immortal and they might like it, but it might not be like the game they're looking for if they are really passionate about a game like Raid. So they are going to hit, I think a game like Diablo Immortal is more going to hit like the MMO fan base, and like maybe Immortal affects like Path of Exile a little bit, or like the Diablo 3 seasons might be less hype because people are going to be more invested in Diablo Immortal. I think those things would be affected a little bit more than Raid.
Yeah, it probably would affect more of the common Diablo games currently, because people will be going from those to playing more of those since they're going to be on PC as well. So it'll probably be an influence more in those phases. The other thing I was thinking is like, I also can see people playing both games, because Diablo is not a game you're going to play at work. Where it's like Raid Shadow Legends is definitely one of those games that people play at work. Like you're chilling, you got a minute, you set up a team for auto, or you re-gear somebody, or you show your coworker your teams and you figure out a boss together, whatever. Like I feel like that's much going to be way more common than like people logging into Diablo Immortal at work, which means it's really more of a recreational game, which means it's competing a lot more with those MMOs I'm saying. So that, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a flop. I really don't. But it's like I could see the world in which we live, in which Diablo Immortal, we all think it's going to be huge, and no one plays, because the only people that play it are people that are actively not at work looking to play an MMO, and there's like a billion other competitors for that are actually on the PC. I could see that argument to be made, but mobile phones are so prevalent now in the gaming market. I feel like anyone has access to this game for that reason alone. It being a big IP, there's going to be some players. We'll have to see. It's going to be hard to tell, man. I mean, like I would think there would be more YouTube search traffic as well. I would think that peak would be larger when they announced the PC thing, but they're not really putting any money into advertising as far as what I can see anyway. I'm not really seeing advertisements roll out for Diablo Immortal in YouTube ads, Reddit, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not seeing those things. I'm just seeing like socials and then posting on their own channel, and it's all organic growth. So they could put money in advertising once it launches, and then it really could skyrocket. I don't know. I know advertising will influence it a lot, and I've seen that mirrored across every game I've played. There's huge spikes in population around their times of their peak advertising. So that's the other thing I'm not sure about.
I don't know that Raid really had a ton of marketing before release though, did it? I guess neither of us probably even know. It was a whole different world back then. You're talking like 4 years ago, but yeah, I don't remember hearing about Raid Shadow Legends until I downloaded it.
I mean, once the game launched, marketing was very apparent very quickly. I mean, that's how I saw it from an ad, and that's how I got into it, and I think we got into it. mean, they were literally paying you. I saw it from a paid mobile gamer sponsored ad. Like they pay them for like a 60-second clip or whatever. I saw and downloaded it from him. So yeah, no, there definitely was ads way back when we started.
Interesting. I found it on a random app store search when I was bored. So I found it kind of by myself without ever hearing of it. But yeah, they definitely, once they saw the game was kind of growing and going to be a success, they pumped millions and millions of dollars into marketing. I wonder if more, because you're right, it is a little bit weird that Immortal with Blizzard is really not marketing much. I wonder if they're trying to wait to see the hype and what kind of a budget they can justify for marketing and then kind of spend from there. But yeah, it is a little bit weird we don't see it.
Could be. I mean, they could be waiting for release to pump the ad. I mean, when launch comes, then they could start pumping out the ads. I've seen that happen. I mean, Marvel Future Revolution, remember that one? There was a huge spike of players right at launch, but they were also advertising. Like you could literally just watch cable TV and you would like see an advert. They were everywhere with those ads. So they had a huge spike. And then they completely stopped all advertising, which I think was a part of the reason the game died down pretty quickly.
Okay. Yeah. And your other point of the YouTube traffic is a little bit slower on Immortal than I thought it would be. But we'll have to see once, because I mean, no one can even play the game yet. So you're only getting like the most hardcore fans.
I mean, to give you an idea, like I could pull up the same data on my Marvel channel, right? Because it's the same thing. Pre-launch, I was easily, not to sound like a dick, but I was like 5 times the size of like any other person in the Marvel space, right? So I had most of that data, and if I look at that data, it's like a 5 times difference. Like if I go back here, I'm going to go all the way back. Okay, so I had a small peak at, in one day, the highest views I had in one day during the beta, okay, which would have mirrored the Diablo Immortal minor bump there, was 7,000 views in a day, okay? On launch, the peak was 101,000 views in a day. So we're talking like 13, 14 times like peak size in terms of YouTube searches, because that's where I was getting the majority of my data, and I can just see the data. I'm looking at it. So
because sorry, go ahead. You finish.
I was just going to say, if Diablo Immortal mirrors any amount of advertising that Marvel did, or if the game is just bigger because it's going to be in BattleNet and everything as well, and they don't advertise, I mean, they could still have this. I would assume the same reflection in the pattern of amount of YouTube searches, if that's the data we're looking at. I don't really think YouTube searches correlate too much to how many people are actively playing the game, but I can understand the argument's sake.
Yeah, that's all really, really great insight. Yeah, I would say most of that makes sense. Is like when you can't even play a game, you know, most people aren't like us. Most people are, you know, they like to dive in and try something and check something out. You know, we're more kind of hardcore gamers. So your typical YouTube viewer, when they can't even play a game yet, they're probably not even interested in content. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up? I guess we kind of both feel like Raid and Diablo are too different. Maybe Raid will see a little bit of a dip, but it'll kind of recover to where it always was, because they're just such different genres.
There is actually a point I want to make. I'm like I said, I'm seeing a ton of negativity from people being like, I'm only here to comment to say the game's shit. And here's my point: the game may be shit. Let's just say it is. Let's just say they're right. Okay, we don't know that yet. Play the game and try it, because from the little bit I've seen, at a minimum from gameplay footage of like watching people play the beta, it looks like a ton of fun. Like if you have a problem with the monetization system, spend $0. I don't understand how it's spend nothing. Do what I did in Raid. Just stop spending money. I haven't spent money in Raid in like 2 years. There's still plenty of good content in Raid you can get for free, regardless of how bitter you are about the in-game or about the shard system or the summoning or any of that stuff in Raid. We still play Raid. You can still. It's the same thing here. I feel like there's going to be a ton of people that are getting turned off because other people are like, yeah, fuck Diablo Immortal. Yeah, fuck it. And it's just like, okay, maybe you're right, dude, but it's like, how often do we get these big game launches to give a couple days of your time away from Raid? It's so mind-blowing to me. It's like, dude, we can try something new for a couple days, and then you can shit on it. Hell, I'll join you.
Well, also, like, I think, like, what social media tends to do is the uncommon opinion seems more common because the uncommon people are typically way louder than just the based normal people. It's the same thing if you read reviews of like a restaurant. Like people that have a bad experience are going to be way more likely to care about putting in the effort to log in and go write a review and like, but like the 150 people that had a good experience that night, they just go home and go about their business. So like your perspective of like people just shitting on the game is probably, you know, more of a minority than what it seems like.
It's probably a minority. It's just I'm seeing comments where people will be like, "I'm not gonna play this game because you can buy and sell stuff in the auction house." It's like that's not even true. Like that's literally not even true. There's so much like disinformation about this. It's absolutely crazy. It's like half this stuff people are saying it's not even right. It's like, there's only one thing in the game that's locked out to a paywall. And it's a $10 awakening on your gym once it's rank 10. That's it. Everything else can be farmed. And there's people where they're saying it's like, oh, you just literally can't get them. It's like that's not true. So that stuff is kind of bothering me because I don't know where all this is coming from. I think it's like a large part of still lashback from like the do you not have phones type of incident. Like I think ever since then the PR has just been like horrible. But it's like half the rhetoric is factually not even true. So it's just look into the systems and give it a chance. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, first impressions are everything. And Diablo Immortal had about the worst possible first impression that you can have. So it's just been an uphill battle since then. Even though they keep hitting home runs, everybody's kind of first impression is that meme of what is that trash mobile game that everybody joked about it having a phone. So yeah, that's going to be because Diablo 3 had the same thing. The launch was so bad that they could just never get the reputation back. And now Diablo fans, by and large, kind of view Diablo 3 as a trash game, and Diablo 2 is the true Diablo game. So first impressions, they mean a lot, and Diablo Immortal is going to have to fight for that.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than the beta, the person that was the #1 player was literally free to play up until he got more that was free to play. You know that. We talked to him. So I don't know what else to say after that point. It's just it kind of seems like you're on one side of the point or another at this point, and I hope people actually read about it and just give the game a day. You know, just give it 24 hours.
Yeah, like you said, it costs nothing. Like worst case scenario, you try it for free and you don't like it and you uninstall it.
Best case scenario, you find a game that you love for like 100 hours of free time that you still spend no money on. So that's it. That's my show sell point. That's it. It's just give it a chance. Don't believe every single negative comment. Balance my super positivity with the super negativity. Go in the middle and be like, the game's going to be and you'll probably get experience and you'll probably feel good about it.
I think that's mostly based, but yeah, man, I appreciate you stopping by the channel. It's always fun to catch up with you. I'm sure we'll be gaming it up and chatting a lot as we come here.
At this point, it's just conversations we're having on and off camera at the same time anyway. You just hit the record button for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, we would be talking anyway, so we might as well.
It's the same shit we'd be saying either way. We'd be sitting here ranting about this either way.
Yep, and I'll drop links down below. Darth's doing some great things on multiple different channels, so definitely check out. He's one of the premier guys already for Diablo Immortal. So
like, comment, subscribe.
So
premier guys, sure.
Yeah, you are. So I'll link to that down below, and we're gonna be teaming up and crushing the game together. If you want to join us, you can find all that stuff down there. So have a good one, Darth, and we'll be catching up.
Peace. Do the Brad thing there. Peace.
Alrighty, so massive shout out to my good friend Darth for taking the time to join me. And yeah, you can find I'm gonna always be doing Raid here on the main channel until Raid dies. I still love Raid and I'm definitely gonna keep cranking out videos about Raid. But if you want to see the Diablo Immortal content and be a part of that stuff, obviously the links will be down there, like I said, in the collab. So as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.